On this episode of the Path to Success podcast, I have an opportunity to sit down with cardiologist and good friend, Dr. Khaled Khalaf. You may know him from social media as Dr. KK. Not only is he an accomplished cardiologist, but he's also a tenacious entrepreneur, the son of the founder of the House of Pies, and he's also a loving husband and father to 3 young children. Together, we retrace the steps of him budding as a high school athlete and how he thought he was going to play football at Rice University, but as a concession prize, he ended up going to the University of St. Thomas and eventually the University of Texas Medical School. He shares the resilience and determination needed in order to achieve great success in medicine and as an investor and restaurateur. Our conversation touches on how he actually defines success as finding true happiness in your personal and professional life. His bold transition into starting his own private practice, invaluable lessons from his journey, and how he actually leverages social media to contribute to his sustainable success in medicine as well. For medical professionals thinking about transitioning into a private practice and migrating away from a hospital system, or potentially looking at investing in alternative investments like cryptocurrency, NFTs, or even becoming an investor in a restaurant or in commercial real estate, this could be an opportunity for you to listen in and learn about his path to success and how that might influence yours. Tune in. Well, hey, Dr. KK is in the podcast studio today, man. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. JJ. People call you JJ?
Some people call me JJ, you know. You like JJ? You know what? You can call me JJ. If I can call you KK. And next week, we have AK coming on the podcast.
We had him on last week.
Oh, man, what a great guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, hey, this is the path to success. The reason why I asked you to come visit with us today is I met you a couple of months ago through a mutual friend who's also in the medical industry. All I knew was this big 6'4" guy coming in and swooping the girls that ever I was with. And then when I found out you were married, I said, okay, all right, let me actually become friends with this guy. Yeah. But man, tell us a little bit about yourself. I would butcher it if I tried to say all the things that you do. So maybe in 60 seconds or less. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, that's good. 60 seconds is tough, but I'll try. I'm a Houston-bred, Houston-raised guy, JJ. I did all my school here. I never left. That makes me a little unique. Most people I know, especially in the medical field, they left and came back. So everything was done here in the med center. I grew up helping my family business, which is the House of Pies. My dad and my uncles own that place, and so
they still own the House of Pies and the real estate right there on Kirby and all the other locations. Oh man!
So I grew up dishwashing, grew up busboying, waiting tables, cash. I'm still a cashier to this day. I do it.
You're just counting the millions instead of the pennies.
No. I mean, but it's hard work though, man.
Okay.
It's hard work. It took us a long time. My family came up I saw it. It's not like it was there when we were kids. And then I became an interventional cardiologist. And then now I'm just working and, doing my thing, just deals here and there, entrepreneurship, like we talked about. And it's been good.
Well, I listened to a recent interview that you did, and you guys talked about maybe how you thought you were going to play football at Rice University. How does an interventional cardiologist grow up thinking he's going to play D1 football?
I make a joke. I tell people I peaked in middle school. And I mean that because middle school for me was honestly a lot of fun. I mean, I was 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds, almost dunking, dominated every sport. And I didn't grow much after that.
Yeah.
And in high school, I played football. I did pretty good. I mean, I didn't have that sort of killer instinct that it takes,
Yeah.
But I was good, and I knew I was good. Private school ball. And then I got hurt my senior year. I missed 4 or 5 games. And I put all my eggs in the rice basket. Mm-hmm. I was recruited all over to go take visits and stuff, all these major schools you can think of. And at the end, Rice passed on me. And at the time, I'm telling you, it was a big deal. I mean, it was traumatic. Imagine your whole family, all your cousins, all your friends, They see this big guy, Khaled, they know he's smart, they know he plays ball, and it's like, yeah, Khaled's going to Rice. Because I thought it was true. Even the coaches, I mean, they didn't say for sure you have a spot, but it was very misleading.
Yeah.
You know? And so even when I hurt myself, I was like, well, they're still going to take me. These guys love me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, nope. And it was like, whoa, that's different. But everything happens for a reason, JJ.
Well, let's talk about the backup date to the prom. Where did you end up going, since you didn't go to Rice?
Yeah, I went to the B team Rice, which is University of St. Thomas. I mean, what? Because I never wanted to leave Houston. Yeah. I never had any desire to leave Houston. So it was either, what are my options? Rice, University of St. Thomas, U of H, HBU. That's it.
Yeah.
And so University of St. Thomas, I had some cousins who had went there before, what cousin I work with now.
Yeah.
And he ended up in medical school. And so I said, okay, so there's a path to get to medical school. Because that was always my goal, was med school. That was always plan A. Despite everything else, that was always plan A.
Well, you might have gone undergrad to the B team, but UT Medical School, I'll tell you, you were in the majors whenever you went to medical school. Yeah. So tell me about kind of like life in med school. I've heard horror stories of how intense it is. Did you have a social life? Did you have a girlfriend?
You know, I was actually talking to my wife, Amal, when I was in med school. And so, you know, we've been talking since we were younger.
Yeah.
15 years old.
Yeah.
15 years old the whole time. And med school there's a lot of partying going on in med school. It really was. Because you had to blow off that steam.
Yeah.
Med school, Jeremy, what I tell people, it's like, it is in a way a sort of like torture camp for your brain. It really is. I mean, they have to weed people out. What do you want them to do? You understand? Like you got a group of smart kids that end up in a school. Some want to be plastic surgeons. Some want to be orthopedics. Some want to be cardiologists. How do you figure it out? Well, you have to weed them out. How do you weed them out? You got to test them. How do you test them? Well, we're going to put you through the ringer.
Yeah.
You're going to memorize all this crap, honestly, and then we'll just kind of figure out who can memorize the most, who can. And so that's kind of how I would say med school works. I wish it wasn't like that, but I understand why it's like that, you know, because, and I was never good at studying. I was really good at memorization. I had a photographic memory, keyword had.
Yep.
It's gone now.
Well, you just turned 40. Did that contribute to it?
Yeah, I think getting older, you know, it's funny. When we get older.
I'm 39. I'm not talking shit. Yeah.
When we get older, right? What happens? Your hair turns gray, your skin gets a little wrinkly, right? Your body ages. How come no one thinks the brain ages? It does. It definitely does. So I tell people, I said, look, I cannot memorize the way I used to. There's no way. And so med school took a lot of that space, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we had fun.
Well, excellent. Well, I've got a good friend of mine. I used to have a dating podcast called What Men Want. And his name is Dr. RJ Turner. And RJ, his dad is an OB-GYN, and both of his sisters are OB-GYNs. And it's funny, it reminds me when you said, hey, I wasn't really that good at studying. So he wasn't smart enough to be an OB-GYN, he says. So he does sports medicine. And so he's one of the physicians for a lot of the sports teams, right? And then he's got a practice here in Houston as well. But
he's probably better off.
Oh, 100%. I know he's having a hell of a lot more fun. Yeah. You ever heard the joke where they said, what do you call the person that graduates last in their class in med school?
What?
Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they call him doctor, right? If you can make it through the torture, hey, you made it, right? I know I don't ask what my physician's GPA is whenever I go in, right? It's, you know, are they personable? Are they credible? And at the end of the day, they're probably going to some type of a WebMD database anyways, right? And plugging in the stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of consulting that goes on, but it all depends like what specific field you're in. You know, there's a lot of that.
Well, good. Well, you mentioned that it would be hard to define what it is that you do in less than 60 seconds, right? We know you're an internal medicine physician that specializes in cardiology. We know that you're a serial entrepreneur. And so this is the path to success. I want to ask you in its most primitive form, how would you define what success is?
Okay. You and I both know that money is not the answer, right? We both know that. Success is not defined by monetary gain because most people I know who have money are lacking tremendously. lacking in terms of their fulfillment, their sense of purpose. In a way, I always tell people, money becomes one of those things where you have to have it, but it shouldn't define your path to success. At the end of the day, what defines your path to success is how you feel. The ultimate goal for all of us is to feel happy, and money does not buy happiness. Now, it makes misery more enjoyable, but it doesn't buy happiness. Okay, you know that. Me and you know enough people to know that. And why are all these rich folks we know all messed up in the brain, Jeremy? Why? Because they get too caught up in their head, bro. You know? So success for me is ultimately how I feel, right? What's going on up here? Am I in a good mood? Am I in a bad mood? And I just want to be happy, man. I just want to be in a good mood most of the time. Is that, that's to me success. Building something, building a reputation, building a family, building this team around you, similar to what you've done here. I mean, you've built an amazing team. I mean, I couldn't be more proud of you, man. This is an amazing facility you have here. Amazing. And it's like, what did you do? You built this team around you. That's success. It's not, if the money comes with it, great, but that's not the definition of it, right? And incentivizing your team members like you've done.
Yeah, excellent. That's a great share. And you used a word in there that I think I had never really equated with success until you said it. But you said reputation, right? Because you could have $1 billion in the bank. Let's use Tillman Fertitta as an example, right? By society standards, he's one of the most successful individuals, at least in Houston. For sure. But he's burned a lot of people along the way, right? By doing bad deals, shady deals. At least so I've been told. I haven't yet been burned by Tillman Fertitta. But for my standards, because he has that negative connotation associated with his brand, his name, I would venture to say that he's not successful in that arena, which at this stage in my life is probably more important than just millions in the bank.
100%. How people view you, how you are, how you act, that ultimately, that's the bottom line for success. And at the end of the day, what's the goal? Why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? We're all doing this because we just want to be happy, man. So happiness is the ultimate goal. That's it. And you don't need money to be happy. You don't need it.
Oh, it makes it a hell of a lot easier, though, man. My goal is to bring smiles to the faces of everybody that knows me, right? Sure. And so I know there's a lot of haters out there that follow me on social media, that follow you on social media. And it's so funny because someone's always got something to say, but anytime anything makes it back to me that's negative, it's like, I don't even know that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's so odd that they would develop that narrative, associated with things that I'm doing, things that I'm saying, and they don't even know who I am. There was a video that I saw on Instagram the other day, and I forget who it was. It was the guy that plays Spider-Man. He was talking about Christian Bale, as a matter of fact. And he said that there's a funny quote by Christian Bale that goes, if you have a problem with me, text me. And if you don't have my phone number, then you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. For sure. And that was some cold truth by Christian Bale, because it's like, dude, you don't even know me, man. Cut me some slack. Why do you even have an opinion, right? So you are a very successful entrepreneur. And by your definition, it means you're a very happy entrepreneur.
I'm trying. That's the key. And people who know me, Jeremy, they know I'm not like always in a great mood. Right? I'm not always, everyone goes through their little, ups and downs. Some days are better than other days. But at the end of the day, just one thing that helps me tremendously is my line of work deals with life and death. Okay, so that puts things in a huge perspective, right? So I don't worry about the mundane day-to-day shit that most people get anxious about. The other thing that helps me, and I never realized this until, I started really, really working, going on, 6, 7 years. It took me 11 years of school after college.
Oh, wow.
11 years after college. And I am more psychiatrist now than I am cardiologist because these patients that come to me, they're scared. They're very, very afraid. If you've suffered a heart attack, or if you're living with a piece of metal in your heart or metal in your neck or legs, I understand the fear that comes along with that. But I'm also half the time trying to talk these people off the ledge, because they're just afraid. And so partly that helps me not be so worried about all this stupid stuff that everyone worries about. I just focus on what's important, my friends, my family, my success, just try and live life to the fullest and get as much out of this life as it has to offer.
Yeah, man, thank you for sharing. So let's talk about your practice, right? You've got a clinic, and then you're also the chief cardiologist at. How is that possible? Tell me a little bit about how you get paid from all the different avenues.
Yeah, so I was very unique in that I had a job before I even got into medical school. And I tell you that.
Does your family own the hospital too?
Well.
The Hospital of Pies.
Well, my uncle,
okay,
my mom's brother,
yeah,
Dr. Mazen Ghanem, he is my medical inspiration. He's done a lot for not just me, but a lot of other members of my family. So right now, if you look up Vital Heart and Vein, you see the different doctors that work there. 7 of us are related.
Yeah.
And most of us went into this field because of him. So he started this practice a while back in the 90s, and he's built it up to be, we're the largest private practice cardiology group in Houston. I'm proud to say that. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of everyone in our group. And we're one of those things where, see, in our line of work, Jeremy, if you are employed by somebody, right, let's say someone owns you, whether it's a hospital system or private equity or whatnot, it's not the same, right? It's almost like a restaurant, right? You go to, okay, let's take Carrabbas, for example. You have the original Carrabbas, right? That Rosie and Johnny and them still own. It's a different vibe than if you go to Carrabbas off Bay Area, right? Which is the one that Outback owns. Because they don't, they're not running it the same. You don't have that mom and pop feel. They don't have like, this is our practice, this is our restaurant, we own this place. I'm going to take care of you because I want to, and I mean it, and I'm here for you. So that's how everyone in our practice operates. And I think being private practitioners kind of helps. Not to take anything away from the academic guys and the guys who are employed, because these days, I'm telling you, 90% of physicians are employed by someone.
Certainly.
Physicians have lost their autonomy completely. And you know this, you deal a little bit with the private equity aspect of medicine. So for us, that's been an important key. But again, my uncle is really, really, really to get the sort of praise for developing this group. I'm just an addition to it, and I'm proud to say that all of us have helped kind of boost it, but it was developed initially by my uncle for sure.
Oh, that's incredible. Is he still with us today?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
He's still working very hard.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Very hard.
So I had a question, and it was going to be, who is the most influential person in your life? But it sounds like you already gave me the answer there.
Well, so Mazen, my uncle, is for sure the most influential person when it comes to my career. But the most influential person in terms of my personality is my father.
Awesome.
Now, I have his genes. I mean, if you see the way my dad acts, and you see the way I act in public, it's like, oh, that's his son.
Yeah.
And part of it, I swear, Jeremy,
he just oozes swag the same way you do too.
He's crazy like me. I mean, he's the life of the party.
Yep.
He's got no filter.
Love.
He's always sort of been like that. He's a lot of fun. He's the type of guy everyone wants to be around. And he's sort of influenced me. My dad to me was almost like my superhero growing up, because he could do no wrong really. Like he always had things figured out. Even though he didn't.
Yeah.
When you're a child, you don't know that.
Of course not.
Right? And it's almost like, well, yeah, like dad can get us through this. Or like, let's say we're like, whether it's something as simple as running late to the airport, or you're on vacation, and like one time it was something like my little brother didn't have his passport and he took us to Mexico or something.
Yeah.
And they were gonna like send him back or something. And I knew I wasn't worried. I was like, no, dad's got this. You know what I'm saying?
100%. I know what you're saying.
Having that sort of like faith and confidence in your dad. And no, he's definitely influenced me the most in terms of my personality.
That's amazing.
Because him and my uncle are completely different people.
Interesting.
My uncle is very like proper and conservative, and by the book, and my dad is like the opposite, just yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
So I have both.
So you're both.
I have
You're
both.
academic, structure, accountability,
I have both.
and then you also have that entrepreneurial flair, right?
Yeah. The other thing about me that's unique as a physician is that I try to be very authentic, right? Meaning there's a lot of physicians who, when they talk to people, their voice, literally their pitch changes. Their voice changes. They become this sort of paid actor in a way, right? They are putting on the role of, I'm your doctor.
Off of a George Clooney character, right, in ER.
Yeah. I've never been able to do that.
Yeah.
I'm the same person, whether I'm in the office, sitting here with you, at home, no matter where. I can't change who I am. And so people, I think, recognize that. Now, I would say most patients appreciate that because you have to connect with them. You have to get them to like you and trust you and know that you are there to take care of them. That's a hard thing to do in 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you'd mentioned Maz is your wife?
No, Mazen is my uncle.
Oh, Mazen.
Yeah, that's my uncle.
And so, let's talk about your wife for a second, right? So you started talking to her when you were in high school, you said.
We were, freshman high school.
And then now you're together. What does she do? Does she work in the business? Is she a fashion icon like every other physician entrepreneur's wife?
No, she is a stay-at-home mom, but she does everything. I mean, she really, really takes care of the house, takes care of all the finances. It really takes a huge burden off of me, right? Because for me, I go to work and I come home, and then everything at the house is kind of, she has it all wrapped up. So that's a big job in and of itself to do that and take care of the kids. And she's pissed at me now because she's co-chairing 3 galas this year.
Okay.
She's mad at me.
I'll buy.
Yeah, because I was like, no, for sure. She's mad at me because like, ooh, you wrote me into all this stuff. I'm like, no, it's okay. I was like, it's an honor. It's okay. It's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she's busy with all that stuff too.
Well, that's good. That's good. So I know I'm close enough to the circle to know that when you're co-chairing galas, it's important to have a lot of people in your circle, right? To buy tables, to invite their friends and colleagues. And so let's kind of segue into talking about your social media presence and, why that's something that you invest your time and resources into. Does it make you money? Does it take away from business? Let's talk about the role that you play in social media.
Social media for me, now you and I are the same age. I mean, I'm a year older than you.
It's all good.
I love meeting people my age because we went through life at the same rate. The world changed around us while we were in the same age. That's very important. That gives us a unique connection that other, we meet a 20-year-old or a 60-year-old, it's different.
Yeah, we have different emotions that are induced when we think about 9/11.
For sure.
Whenever we think about stuff like that, we know which high school class we were staying in,
Yeah.
and then the same music that we listened to in middle school and high school. Yeah. Okay.
We've been sort of influenced by this country at the same time. And that plays a huge role. So when I meet someone my age, I love that. And so what was the original question? Sorry. I threw me off.
So what role does social media play?
Social media. Yes. Got it. So when we were kids, was the internet out?
I mean, maybe a little bit. Young kids?
No, it wasn't.
I remember like AOL dial-up when we were in the 6th grade.
Right, but I'm talking like, when you were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Nothing.
No. If you had a computer in your house, what was it? It was just a glorified typewriter.
100%.
That's it. We didn't have any of this.
Yeah.
So
no, we had Legos and Lincoln Logs and shit like that.
So when we grew up and the internet became a thing. Now AOL, I liked AOL. That's actually where me and my wife started talking on AOL.
What was your handle? Was it like Future Hard Dog?
K's40 at AOL.com. It's still my email to this day. That's my joke email.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I still have it. And so, AOL was cool. And that was kind of, I would say, the birth of this sort of communication. The internet allowed us to communicate with people. And then fast forward to what we have Facebook after that. Well, we had MySpace, we had Facebook. I always thought it was cool. I enjoyed it. I liked the ability to be able to see what my friends were doing. I liked that. I thought it was cool. It's a way to connect us all. And so obviously social media, internet has a lot of plus. Does it have a lot of negative too? Sure, yeah. But I would still say that the plus, outweighs the negatives of it. So now fast forward, Social media. Now, I was doing the social media for the House of Pies from its inception.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I still do it. I mean, I gave it away a little bit. I have now someone who helps, and my brother's helping now. Yeah. But I started that.
Yeah.
And so it was always a part of me.
Yeah.
Like your whole life, you're always, oh, let me post this, let me do this, let me do that.
Yeah.
And then when it came to my personal stuff, I was like, okay, well, we could do a little more. And I've always been an open book. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Like if I will tell you what some people are private. They don't like that.
100%.
They don't want people to know anything about them. They don't want people to know where they're going, who they're with, what they're doing. I have nothing to hide. I don't care. So it's like, yeah, this is me. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. This is what I think. Right? You know, we're gonna get to that about like what should you where do you draw the line in terms of like really telling people your authentic self
because social media can be very polarizing, and if you share a polarizing viewpoint in one direction or the other, you're gonna have haters.
I have a lot.
So let's talk about those haters. Give me a story of maybe being authentic and posting what you think maybe created some type of a blow up.
Okay, it just happened.
Oh shit! What? Like this morning? What do you mean just happened?
Last week.
Tell me what happened.
Okay, how do I say this? All right, so last week, and it has to do with being on this board of certain charities and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Another board member expressed to the president of the charity that essentially, KK's views might be a little, out there.
Political, religious?
Yeah, no, mainly political.
Okay.
Mainly political, right. And so here's the thing about politics. I wish I didn't have to care. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like when I was a kid, I didn't give a shit who was in charge, Republican, Democrat. It didn't matter to me because the world still operated the way it was supposed to. Mm-hmm. But you reach a point, Jeremy, where you get old enough to where it starts affecting your pocket, right? It starts affecting your kids. It starts affecting your way of life. It starts affecting, okay, what direction are we headed in? Mm-hmm. And, I've always been the type to sort of stand up. You know what I'm saying? I can't stay quiet when it comes to certain things. But I wish I didn't have to, honestly. I really, really, truly believe that. I wish I didn't feel like I always had to express my opinion. So I actually do hold back, but I also let people know how I feel.
So how did it blow up? So the other board member reached out to the president.
Yeah.
The president reached out to you, said, "Hey, KK, can you tone it down a little bit?"
Yeah.
Or did they walk you to the door and see you out?
No. He didn't tell me to necessarily tone down. But I was basically told him, look, I understand, but I am going to express myself for the rest of my life. Yeah. No matter what, nobody will ever be able to, because I've earned that freedom. Yeah. I've earned that freedom. Yeah. Like I don't know.
I don't necessarily know if that's a freedom that needed to be earned. I think we should all have access to freedom of speech.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's the point. That's the point. Yeah.
And if you don't like what I'm saying, hey, you can self-select out, sir. You don't need to listen to my interview.
I love talking about religion, sex, and politics. Those are the greatest things to talk about. They're the most fun. They're the most fun.
Because it's what induces the most engagement and debate, right? And it sounds like you're a pretty healthy debater.
I hate small talk.
Okay.
I can't do it. Yeah. I can't do it. If I'm, when you meet someone for the first time, yeah, of course there's some small talk.
Sure.
I'm not going to get into aliens right away, but eventually I'm going to get into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into what's inside here, man. What are you feeling? What's your emotions? What drives you? Yeah. That's what I like. That's a deep connection. I hate the superficial, the small talk.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh man, look at us right here. Yeah. Just bros bonding right now over non-small talk. Yeah. So that pose somewhat of a threat to your philanthropic things that you pursue. What is your biggest threat to your success as a physician?
Oh, well, that's easy. Well, it's a combination of government and capital interest, which is unique because normally it's one or the other, right? So normally in my political views, I'm like, government, leave me alone. Don't touch my money. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to think. I am a small government guy. That's what I want. In medicine, I'm getting attacked by both because what's happening? The government's messing me up with Medicare,
Mhm.
right? Because Medicare is Medicare, Jeremy, is supposed to be the gold standard, right? Medicare is one of those things that all the other commercial insurances look at to say, if Medicare's covering it, then we should cover it. But that's not what's happening.
Interesting.
Medicare covers certain things that private insurance won't. And then you have the opposite, to where the private insurances have no oversight, because when Medicare cuts, these guys can't wait to cut. And every year, it's just a cut after cut after cut. So you got reimbursement going down, 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 down. And then on the flip side, you got overhead going up, 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 up. How are physicians supposed to play this game?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. Well, I would like to share. We had this conversation in the office on Friday of last week. In our industry, we refer to that as, it's called fee compression, right? So if the clients are expecting to pay you less and the cost of goods sold and just operating a business are increasing due to increased expense of technology, healthcare, taxes, and just payroll, right? It's significantly compressing your gross margins. And so I think that the only solution for us as business owners is outsourcing, automation, AI. How can we eliminate positions, right, in order to reduce overhead and maximize efficiency?
For
right?
sure, yeah.
And so what role does automation and AI affect in cardiology in the future?
For us in particular, it's going to be really hard for me to replace an MA with a robot, right? So for like the clinic setting, AI, I don't think has much of a role in terms of reducing overhead. Now, there are ways to make things more efficient and streamlined, but at the end of the day, it's hard with the amount of manpower that we are required to have. Because don't forget this, Jeremy, did you know that, like, in order for me to touch you, in order for me to do anything on
well, first you got to get my consent to touch me.
I got it.
Yeah.
No, in order for me to touch you, do a procedure, even do a study on you, I have to get permission. I have to get authorization. That means that I have to pay someone to get on the phone to ask for permission, and then the insurance company will say yes or no. It's a fight. And so these fights create more and more hassles. And then in terms of AI for an interventional cardiologist in particular, this is where I think AI will have a role. It's more in the procedures themselves, right? I would not be surprised if one day they create a robot-assisted catheterization technique to where the robot integrates with the actual images of the arteries of the heart, and then it can do everything.
So not even an unmanned robot where somebody from a remote location is operating it. You're saying the actual AI will facilitate the surgery itself?
I think so. I mean, but we're talking like futuristic Matrix stuff here, but it's possible. I mean, it really is possible if you think about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
But in the future, because I think that we're at a stage in life where we can all agree robots can maybe do things a little better than humans.
Absolutely. And that's where we're investing a lot of our time, energy, and resources in recruitment. Is it's not in the physicians, it's in the robotics engineers, the mechatronics engineers, the control systems engineers, the inverse kinematics engineers, right? And these really, really smart people that are telling the robot what to do and that are maintaining the robots, right?
We have right now a robot that helps us do caths. It eliminates our need to be exposed to radiation and be at the bedside. So it's like a video game.
Yeah.
I can do the cath in the control room while the patient's like 20 feet away from me. It's like a joystick, like a video game. But the video game has no idea what's actually going on. I'm the ears and the eyes and the brain between the joystick and the patient still. It's just an extension of my hand.
Sure. So it's robotics, but it's not machine learning or AI.
It's not integrated into the actual problem or blockage that the patient has. If they reach that point, which I think they will, then that's a game changer, which it's going to happen. I don't know when, but it will happen.
Okay. Well, let's get into a story that's maybe going to induce a little bit of emotion for our watchers and our listeners. Sure. And so tell me about a time where maybe you thought that you were just going to lose everything. After you complete internal medicine, internal medicine
residency is not a uber competitive residency, or at least it wasn't at the time, right? Plastic surgery, dermatology, orthopedics, much more competitive. And I always knew I wanted to do cardiology. So I did my internal medicine, did well, and then to get into cardiology is not easy, and was able to do that. And now, though, there's one last remaining hurdle, and that is to become an interventional cardiologist. That means that I now have been entrusted to actually put needles and balloons and stents and actually, fix you like a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
See, in our world, you have general cardiologists, you have interventional cardiologists. I'm also a structural cardiologist. I do valve replacements, different congenital things. And then you have the electrophysiologists, who are like electricians that deal with pacemakers and defibrillators. There's other subspecialties. For me to go from general to interventional, in my mind, was going to be easy, right? Meaning I knew all the right people. I had established myself. I mean, hell, I was even chief fellow. So out of our class of, it was like 10 or 11 of us, there was 2, me and another colleague, who were elected chief fellow. So
basically like the class president of your fellowship.
Yeah, in a way. So the second I was elected chief fellow, in my mind, I was like, okay, well then interventional shouldn't be difficult for me. But it was. The program director, he initially didn't have that faith in me. He didn't, and it wasn't, and I don't think he had any particular reason not to have it. I think he's a great man. To this day, I love him and I respect him, because ultimately he gave me the opportunity.
Yeah.
If he didn't give it to me, he was the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember during the interview, it was almost, he basically told me no during the interview. And I was, you want to talk about devastation.
Yeah.
The rice thing is nothing compared to this.
Yeah.
And I got real emotional, and I remembered, just calling my uncle, and I told him what happened. And, I was, very teary, and I said, it's okay. I said, I know I'm going to be good no matter what I do. Like, even if I'm general cardiologist or I can try something else, I said, I'll still be okay. But deep in my heart, I want it to be like him. I wanted to be an interventionalist, because to me it was important. I felt like it was my calling, my destiny. And if I didn't fight, if I rolled over, it's done. So he's the one that told me, no, we are going to fight, right? You have to fight. And so, and mind you, I just had an interview with the director, who basically told me no. But I fought. And so then I tried to set up, other meetings with him. I had other people come to my back, right? I went to the other interventional cardiologists, and then it kind of, it helped. And in the end, it worked out. But that was a really, really crucial point where I thought, man, I did all this stuff, and I was right at the finish line, and I wasn't going to be able to cross. And then luckily, with God's will, everything turned out okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm not very close to it, but I would be willing to bet that he doesn't let anybody in. That gatekeeper literally put you on your heels because he wanted to see how you would react, because that's the true testament in whether or not you're qualified to be an interventional cardiologist. So I heard an interview. Tell me about, what is the complications of balloon angioplasty? What is that? Because you talked about putting a balloon in someone. Tell me about that story.
Okay, so that paper that I wrote was a 5th or 6th grade science fair. And the reason that's so important is because this is basically me having definitive proof that I was destined to do this.
At 10, 11 years old.
Right. Yeah. Right. This is like me saying, you're a kid. You didn't know you were going to do this when you were a kid, right?
No, I knew I'd be successful. Yeah, that's it.
But you didn't know what you wanted to do. You ask kids, what do you want to be? A fireman, engineer, astronaut,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. And so
I would tell people that I wanted to be the CEO of Coca-Cola. That's what because remember when we were kids, talk about being the same age. Remember all those little polar bear commercials and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Man, those were marketing genius right
they
there.
were.
Yeah. And so you have evidence that you were going to achieve all these goals when you were in the 5th grade.
Or that I was focused on this one path to a career that I felt was fulfilling and that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So because you have so many different balls in the air, I know that you have your practices. I know that you own a restaurant. I know that you're involved in some other investment deals. What is the importance of work-life balance between work, social, and family?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. And how do you balance it?
Yeah. So, everyone talks about like their time, right? And so I don't have time. I don't have time. Like working out, for example. I always tell people to work out. I don't have, my patients, like I don't have time. It's like, well, if anyone doesn't have time to work out, I would say it's me, and then I realized that time is all we have, but it comes down to where you place your value, right? So let's say working out, for example, that's become very valuable to me. And so I place good emphasis on that. So I have time for that. And so when you talk about work, life, social balance, between the hours of 7:30 and 5:30, I'm busy, right? Like I am doing my active income duty in my role. After that, hey, I'm free.
Yeah.
You understand? Like after that, hit me up. Like, what do y'all want to do? You want to go somewhere? You want to take vacation? Take the kids somewhere? You want to go out to eat? Let's. And I've always been the type of guy, Jeremy. I don't like staying home. I love my house. I love my family. I love my kids. We have a lot of we. Sometimes when you veg out, it's not bad, but I always like being out there.
Yeah, you're a social creature, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, they don't get it because they see me go out 5-6 nights a week.
Right.
And they say, man, that's exhausting.
Right.
But for guys like you and me, that's the fuel for our energy, right?
No doubt.
Absolutely. Well, good. So tell me about the biggest return on investment that you've ever received, right? It kind of sounds like your education was a pretty big return on investment, but golly, the expense of 11 years of going to school, and you've been monetizing that for the last 7-8 years, right?
Yeah.
Maybe other than just your education, what's been the biggest return on investment that you've ever received?
Financially.
No, it could be.
Well, financially, I have a good story.
He's like, my dad actually founded Bitcoin.
No, it has to do with like, well, if you want, we'll get into crypto. I lost my but it was during that time.
Yeah.
So this is where I think intuition kind of becomes important, right? So I was just having a conversation with my cousin one time, and he was talking to me about, hey, did you hear that they are starting to study like what is the active ingredient in mushrooms? Psilocybin, right?
Yeah.
So it was just in passing. He's
So
like,
an MDMA, psilocybin.
He says that they're gonna start because he had some friends in this sort of industry that are into startups with medicine and whatnot. So they're gonna start studying it where they're gonna basically make it a medication.
Okay.
I was like, well, that's interesting. I said, and I've always been of the firm belief, if the average person wants something bad enough, it will happen. For example,
meth.
Well, like alcohol, right? Alcohol.
Yeah.
They tried to stop it.
Yeah.
But then they realized everyone's breaking the law.
Yeah.
So this is stupid. And the same thing's happening with, THC right now, right?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of places have made it legal because they said, okay, yeah, it was illegal, but so I see this trend. I said, okay. I said, psilocybin. I said, that's interesting. So I was just, one day I was doing a lot with the stocks, and playing around. And I like to take, to me, it's like fun.
It's like gambling. It's like being at the casino.
And so all I did was just Google, pharmaceutical companies for mushrooms, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the first company that popped up, I mean, it literally took me 1 minute. It was like it said Mind Medicine. Or like I said, publicly traded company.
Sure.
So it gave me the ticker.
Yeah.
So I just pick up the phone and call my broker and say, hey, just buy a bunch of this company. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I think more than 10 times my investment.
There we go.
Yeah, more
Are you
than
still
10
holding
times.
on to
Well,
it?
I sold a bunch of it, but it was one of those things. I love telling that story because it's like, you see what intuition did there?
Yeah.
Right? It didn't take much. It was just like, okay, there's a thought. I
Yeah.
see the pattern. I see history. Let's go for it. That's a good story financially. But in terms of like return on investment, yeah, for sure.
Well,
the education. For
yeah.
Sure.
Well, so it's funny that you share that story. So this was probably 12, 13 years ago. I'm at my buddy's lake house, right? I'm 26 years old. This guy, he's a chemical engineer, and he's got like a beach house, a lake house, and then a badass house in River Oaks. And he's a little bit older than me. And I'm like, dude, how are you doing all this, right? And this is before Airbnb. This is before, people monetizing their second and third homes, right? And he said, dude, I've murdered it in the stock market. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. Are you using a financial advisor? What's going on? Is it penny stocks? Yeah. I'm 26 years old. Yeah. He said, no, I just buy stuff that I use every single day. That's right. So you look at Microsoft, LinkedIn, Apple, all these different stocks. He goes, because if I use it every day,
I'm assuming
there's a lot of people that use it every single day. And the second that I'm not using it every day, so you look at the fall of Zoom, right? You look at the fall of so many different GoPro, so many different things. It's like whenever other resources came out and stole that market share, right? Twitter, right? Then that's the time to buy it. The second that you're not using it every day. And so, the layman investor, he's over putting 10 grand, 15 grand. This guy was doing 200,000, 300,000 rips at 30 years old, right? You talk about just getting a 40% return on your investment. Yeah. That really moves the needle. No, you know what I'm saying? And so that's where you can get a massive return on your investment, is by really betting on your idea, because I'm sure in retrospect you wish you would have put 10 times.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the irony is, I want to say I told the stockbroker to put more, and then he talked me out.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure.
Are you still working with that guy?
Yeah.
What broker dealer is he with? Just out of
he's the company's changed name. How these companies change names forever.
So
he's in Pennsylvania.
Understood. Here, So my recruiting firm, we're the number one recruiting firm in the nation that recruits in the wealth management space. And so we recruit for LPL, Raymond James, some big independent broker dealers and all those independent offices. But so you had kind of alluded to crypto. So you gave us some insight into the biggest return on investment that you've ever received. Let's talk about how you overcame a bad investment, right? What did it do to you financially? What did it do to you mentally? And how were you able to overcome that?
Yeah. Okay. So we got to get into the NFTs for a second.
Okay. The non-fungible tokens. Yeah. Okay.
So the biggest loss to date is going to be around those NFTs. Not only in the purchase of NFTs. Now, the NFTs that I had invested in were not like these apes and the Logan Paul stuff. It wasn't because I always thought those were stupid.
Yeah.
The NFTs that I invested in, and the crypto tied to the NFT I invested in, is a token called OMI, and the platform that trades the NFTs is called Vivi. And the reason I liked it was because these are NFTs that deal with Disney, Marvel, Universal.
Profitable assets.
Yeah, so similarly to what your friend did. And he said, I'm only going to invest in things that I deal with on the daily. That's the approach I took to the NFTs. I said, I'm not going to buy a stupid monkey that looks like he's on acid because that has no value to me. But my Spider-Man Marvel NFT, which is to this day I hold it. It's I can tell you for the rest of human history, I own the first ever, not only Spider-Man but Marvel NFT. Okay, Marvel didn't have an NFT before this, and I think at one point this thing was worth $90,000. It's not anymore, but it was. You see, so the NFTs and then the crypto. During COVID, we took a lot of risks. We were bored. COVID messed everyone up. I tell everyone, when you go through a traumatic life event, you get fine-tuned a little bit. Even like something as simple like a vacation. You go on vacation, you come back. You're not really the same person because you experience something different.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're changed. And so that's a fine tune. But COVID, I think, dialed everyone. I don't know. Some people went in this direction, some people went in the other direction.
Yeah.
You know? To be honest, I think I came out of it better. I think because
I know I came out of it better. I mean,
yeah.
I was gambling in the stock market myself for about 30 days, and I lost about $250,000.
Yeah.
But what that taught me was I need to hire a financial advisor to manage these assets because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
but go ahead.
No. So then like the crypto stuff, I mean, I don't know how many Lambos I'm missing now. I mean, quite a few. And my brother was really gung-ho on it. I mean, he's an attorney.
Yeah.
And he could sell you on stuff. And so he was like, dude, the ship is sailing. He's like, the ship. You see the ship? The ship is sailing. You can still get on the ship. It's out there. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, and now it's a lot. And so, but the thing is, thank God, is it gone temporarily? Yeah. Could it come back? Sure. But I don't think about it. It's like, we've been blessed to where it's like, it's not going to change my lifestyle. But it would be nice to have that money back, no doubt.
Well, it's funny because the lessons that we learned from losing those deals, it taught us, hey, maybe we need to do a little bit more due diligence. Maybe we need to invest in tangible assets, right? That can be sold for asset value instead of just
no, well, I mean, like real estate is obviously
absolutely
where to go. And
so
that's how my family, a lot of what we did was we took the money from the restaurants and invested in real estate. And my uncle had a tremendous role to play with that. I have an uncle who is really big in real estate, and so he was very, very instrumental in helping build the family's portfolio.
Yeah. So think about that. Think about if you would have 10x'd that crypto, right? Yeah. Then maybe you would have had an increased risk tolerance in those digital assets, right? And then, now you're starting to invest $3 million, $4 million instead of $400,000. What's the damage that could do instead of the lesson that you learned? And then now clearly you're investing in real estate, right? And so, man, things happen for a reason. And thank you very much for sharing that story. So let's talk about what is the most exciting thing that you have on the horizon, business or personal. Maybe it's maybe you got a new kid on the way, or maybe you got a business venture that you're investing in.
No, we have 3 beautiful kids.
How old are they?
12, 8, and little girl's about to be 3.
Oh, man, little. Mine are 11, 9, and 7, so right around the same age. Go ahead.
No, so we're done with that. I think there's 2 really important things on the horizon for me. My career is kind of set. I'm doing well in my career. I have a big practice. The company's doing very well. So that part is taken off, and it's nice to see the growth. We have billboards everywhere. Mm-hmm. We're putting our name out there. We're basically telling everyone that we're here to stay and we're here to play. That's one big thing. Another thing is I bought a big piece of land right next door to our office off the freeway, 59 1960. And I have to develop it. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be like my first big personal project, right? This is me by myself. I have no partners. This is just like my baby, right?
Let's put some pickleball courts on there. Yeah. I need more places to play, but go ahead.
Yeah. So that's something that's my next big project. And so that's going to take, I'm going to be totally gray by the time that's done. I already know it. But that's going to be fun.
What are you going to develop? Have you put thought into it?
Yeah, so a lot. Mm-hmm. So, I went from, House of Pies to House of Pies plus a shopping center plus a double-decker shopping center to something with a drive-through. Mm-hmm. I have all these thoughts going through my mind. And I haven't put pen to paper yet, but it's there. And so in a way, even though I'm not thinking about it, the back of the brain's always racking. Mm-hmm. So now what's happening, I'll drive by a place and I'll see a building. I'm like, okay, that would work. That won't work. I could do that, but add this to it. So I'm still in that sort of thought process mode. And then another big thing on the horizon for us that's happening is with, we're going to take House of Pies online because we never did. Mm-hmm. My father, as much as he's done for the company, you got to realize he grew up in an era where he didn't really know how to even check an email. Mm-hmm. I remember my dad was so pissed when the IRS or the people that where you send in the sales tax,
Mm-hmm.
it went digital.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was forced to like get on the computer and he's like, this is bullshit. Like I just, he's used to just writing a check.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so he was so angry at that. That just shows you like, he grew up in a time where technology was developing around him, but he was content. He didn't want to learn it, And now my brother is in there helping, and so we're gonna take this thing, more digital and expand it more for sure. So those are the three biggest things: my career with Vital, the project I have to develop, and then the House of Pies itself, just going more digital, and hopefully we'll open more franchises too.
Well, excellent. Well, I know there's two big arenas that my friends are really investing in right now. So multifamily real estate, I think when you look at Gen Z and the very young millennials, the thought of home ownership is 100% out of reach, right? And so there's this massive demand for multifamily. And then when you look at the cost of acquisition capital, so just interest rates climbing, right? That forces an increase in what the rental market is, right? And so, an apartment that in 2018 might have been $1,800 a month is going for $2,300 a month right now. Yeah. And then when you just look at like the cost per square foot of what you're able to yield in multifamily is massive. So that might be one thing to consider. I'm not familiar with the retail space, but then I've got another friend of mine who operates in the public storage space, right? Yeah. Because that's a multifamily, right? Except you don't have people that are going to file slip and fall claims and things of that nature. You've got one person to man the shop, and then you've got one person to maintain the operation.
Everybody I know in the public storage space, they do well.
They kill it, man.
Every single person I know, everyone. So it is definitely something to think about.
Yeah. Typically, they're going to be in areas that are up and coming, right? So think about like Independence Heights or Edo or Sunset Heights or something like that, where just the land value, is going to increase, right? I'm not as familiar with 59 and 1960. It's the Kingwood area, right?
It's Humboldt.
Humboldt, okay. So to me, those are the same thing, but from people over there, they're like, hey, that doesn't count. But it's like Sugar Land and Richmond, It's like, oh, that's the same, right? No, not really. But anyways, well, if you could have one do-over in life,
a do-over,
what would it be?
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how I told you when I was in 6th grade, I was 6'2", 200 pounds, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I was a athletic kid.
Yeah.
I then took my health for granted. And so med school was tough too, Jeremy, because a lot of stress. How do you comfort yourself with food, right? You don't feel like working out, right? I mean, the last thing I want to do is, try and cram for this test and be like, oh, I got to go work out too. Where some of my friends were the opposite. They used the gym to help kind of fuel their mind, and they used it as a stress relief. Whereas you got some people using the gym as stress relief. I was over here using food as stress relief and not working out, which is a double whammy. And so, I got, real out of shape for a while. And that's the one thing that I wish I didn't allow myself to get out of shape. I mean, I know right now, you're posting a lot about fitness yourself, right? So you're getting more into it. You see how important it is. Like you look better, you feel better. To me, the brain benefit is just as good as the body benefit. Like right now, I'm at a point where I need it for my brain. And I wish I was as committed to health as I am now. Yeah. Especially being a doctor. I mean, could you imagine how not cool it was being a really out of shape physician?
But what's out of shape for you? Like 20 extra pounds?
No. I would say most of my life I spent, above 300 pounds.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot. And I was a big guy. So
and that's a cool thing to share with a patient who's on the other end of the consultation.
All the time desk. I do it all the time. I have to, because it's hard. That's the part. It's like smoking cessation. Yeah. And weight loss takes up a lot of my counseling. But like I said, I'm not a psychiatrist. I didn't sign up for this. I'm just here to take care of you. But the counseling aspect of the medicine, it can become mind-blowing. Some people take it well. Some people don't take it well. Some people the second you bring it up, they just get a little shaky,
Yeah.
like you're just like trying to dag them. Like, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you. And so a lot of times I bring in my own personal experience too. And when I tell them, look, I've struggled with my weight the majority of my life, then they kind of say, okay, all right, makes sense.
So I've lost 55 pounds in the last 5-6 months.
Great job, brother.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
I had a lot to lose. I started at 280.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest contributors to that, I was in a serious committed relationship with someone who fitness was the cornerstone in her life, and she created a ton of healthy habits for me, right? However, it was really the content that I was consuming on Instagram that was forcing me to get my shit together, right? These influencers that are talking about, oh, you're successful. No one gives a shit when you weigh 300 pounds, right? You're not going to pull the girl of your dreams, right? No, this is a false reality that you're creating, right? And I started to really consume this content on a daily basis that was motivating me and inspiring me to still be social, which was the driver for my why, right? In meeting people and bringing a smile to their face and having them have a positive association whenever they hear my name. Well, what can I do that's social? And then it burns calories, right? And keeps me active. And that's been pickleball, dude. I kid you not, man. This new craze of 2023, I'm out on the courts 3-4 days a week, meeting new people. It's a social experience. You're burning calories. And then I'm going home drenched, dude, and getting on the scale, and I lost 2 pounds that day, right? I mean, that's awesome.
And you feel good. You feel good.
You look good.
There's no replacement for the endorphins you get after a long day of working out. The other thing that I tell everyone is everyone loves to focus on diet. That's like, especially in my world, in the medicine world. Oh, well, your diet. Well, you're not eating this, eating that. That's bullshit. The exercise is much more important than the diet for 2 reasons. First one is when you exercise, you are preheating the oven. You are turning on the metabolism inside of your body to where when you do decide to eat, you're burning it much faster. So you want your oven to be hot. That's number one. Number two is when you do work out, when you leave drenched from the pickleball and you go home, let's say you're hungry.
I'm not gonna,
what are you gonna eat?
Yeah.
You're not gonna
chicken breast and green
That's
veggies.
right. That's why. Yeah. Why? Because your mind won't allow you to pick up McDonald's on the way home.
You're right.
It's a way to hold yourself accountable.
100%.
That's why exercise is more important than diet.
Well, good. Well, I know I've got an executive life coach that I meet with every Thursday at 10 a.m. I've got my entrepreneurs organization small group. I've got a therapist. There's so many different resources that I invest in to help me hold accountable to achieving my goals now that I don't have a wife, whispering into my ear every single day. What resources do you utilize in order to make sure that you're being held accountable to achieve your goals?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't have like someone. I use my friends as my therapists. You know what I'm saying? And I tell them that too.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of weird. If you get a FaceTime from me, it means that I hold you with high regard. I value our friendship, and I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But that list is growing smaller and smaller. Honestly, it's like, but I'll be at the gym, and I'll just FaceTime someone, and then that kind of that direct communication helps me. I don't have like a life coach or anyone I talk to. I don't have like a mental health coach. I mean, do I think these things are important? Sure, but half the time I'm being the coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean a coach doesn't need a coach.
Sure.
But it's like, for me, just the value that I get out of my friendships and having deep, honest conversations like we alluded to earlier, where you feel that energy from people, that's all I need. That's all I need. Yeah.
Well, you're doing a great job, man, and those friendships are serving you well because you're killing it in life, you're killing it in business, you're killing it in fitness. And I'm glad that I've gotten to know you over the last hour, and I hope that one day I get one of those FaceTimes from you.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so kind of in closing, if you were to, I watched an episode of Suits last night, and we were talking about a eulogy, right? If you were to go to your own funeral, and you were to hear the person on stage giving your eulogy, kind of in closing, tell us, how would Dr. KK, like to be remembered?
I had a thought, and I actually want to do it. I haven't done it, but I want to. And here's what I want to do. every year on my birthday, I want to record like a minute of me talking to people at my funeral, right? And I don't want.
So you talk to your daughter, you talk to your best friend, you talk to
talking to the people. So where at my eulogy, I don't want anyone giving a speech. I want to give my own speech.
There you go.
At my eulogy,
There you
just
go.
pop in the tape. This is KK, open and honest, telling you what he feels, what he wants, and my whole thing. And I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, honey, bury me in Palestine on this mountain here overlooking this. I'm like, no, actually make me a tree. No, make me a mummy. Make me, I do all this weird stuff. I go back and forth. But at the end of the day, I just want to be remembered as the guy who was authentic, who inspired others. That's it. That's all I want. I just want to be remembered as the unwavering fighter for justice. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I stand at this point. And I have a short list of men in our community who have passed on, who you always think of them sometimes. It's like they're always kind of with you, and you're like, yeah, that dude, he did it. That's the dude that like left a mark on me. I want to be like that guy. I want to be remembered like that guy. That's kind of where I stand.
Well, good, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'll tell you from my vantage point, you're well on your way, dude. So
Thank you, Jim.
thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's fun.